Good morning, everybody. Thank you for hitting the channel. I appreciate you being here. Welcome. My name is Mark, and today we're going to be taking a little bit of a different turn in terms of videos that we're seeing on the channel. I'm going to take you down memory lane with regards to an old retro game called Contra, and just a little bit of info about the game. And I think this is something that I want to do going forward. Sort of a retrospective on old school retro games. I love retro games. I'm a big fan of them. I still play them to this day. It's something that I've been kind of wanting to do on the channel, get a little bit more specific with something on the channel. And I think retro gaming might be the way to go. But I'd love to hear what you all have to say as well. So by all means, let me know in the comments if you love retro, if you want to see more retro content, or if you want to stick with general news, which is what the channel has been up until now, general news / tips for the most part. And I think by niching down a little bit, we'll get a little bit more specific with what content we have on the channel. And as a result, we should see increased viewership, and hopefully that'll translate into subs as well. This is something that I'm passionate about and I really enjoy talking about. So without further ado, let's learn a little bit about Contra. So Contra launched in arcades in 1987 by Konami. It was designed as a side-scrolling run-and-gun hybrid at the time when most arcade games were one or the other. It stood out immediately for its fluid movement, co-op gameplay, and cinematic presentation, things that weren't common in arcades at the time. The Hollywood inspiration. So the two main characters, Bill and Lance, were directly inspired by 80s action movie icons, specifically Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator and Commando and Sylvester Stallone in Rambo. Konami was essentially bottling the entire 80s action aesthetic into a video game, which is a huge part of why it resonated so strongly with that generation. When Contra was ported to the NES in 1988, developers had to make serious concessions given the hardware limitations. What's impressive, however, is how little was actually lost. The core gameplay, the co-op, the weapon variety, and most of the level design translated remarkably well, something that couldn't be said for a lot of arcade ports of that era. The Konami Code is probably Contra's most lasting cultural contribution. Entering up, up, down, down, left, right, BA on the title screen gives you 30 lives. The code was created by Kazuhisa Hashimoto, a Konami developer who originally made it to help himself playtest the game. It became so famous that the Konami Code is now recognized well outside of gaming culture entirely. Contra was designed to be hard. One hit kills you, and you have a limited number of lives and continues. This wasn't laziness, it was a deliberate arcade design philosophy meant to keep players pumping quarters. On NES, that same difficulty remained, which is part of why the 30 lives cheat code became so essential and so legendary. Among the weapon pickups, fireball, laser, machine gun, and spread gun, the spread gun became among the weapon pickups, fireball, laser, machine gun, and spread gun. The spread gun became almost among the weapon pickups, fireball, laser, machine gun, and spread gun. The spread gun became almost mythologized by players. It fired in 5 directions simultaneously and essentially trivialized most of the game's enemies when used well. Players developed real emotional attachment to it, and losing it felt catastrophic. It's one of the best designed power-ups in gaming history in terms of how it changed player behavior. Mixed in between the side-scrolling levels were base stages that used behind the back into the screen perspective, almost a primitive third-person shooter view. This was genuinely innovative in 1987 and gave the game a variety that most of its mixed in between the side-scrolling levels were base stages that used behind the back into the screen perspective, almost a primitive third-person shooter view. This was genuinely innovative in 1987 and gave the game a variety that most of its contemporaries lacked. It also showed Konami experimenting with dimensional switching gameplay years before it became common. 2-player simultaneous co-op was baked into Contra's identity from day one, which was still relatively rare in 1987 and 1988. The game was designed around it, so some enemy patterns and stage layouts were notably harder when you played solo. It created a shared experience that people still talk about nostalgically, and it helped define what co-op gaming could feel like. In Europe and parts of Asia, Contra was renamed Gryzor in arcades and Probotector in home consoles. and the human characters were replaced by robots. This was done to comply with regulations around human violence in certain European countries. It's a fascinating piece of gaming localization history that most North American players do not know about. Contra didn't invent the run and gun genre, but it defined it. Games like Metal Slug, Gunstar Heroes, and countless others were directly influenced by Contra's formula. Its DNA is visible in modern indie games even today. The fact that it still gets spiritual successors and that the franchise occasionally gets revived speaks to how foundational the game was. Contra didn't invent the run and gun genre, but it did define it. Games like Metal Slug, Gunstar Heroes, and countless others were directly influenced by Contra's formula. Its DNA is visible in modern indie games even today. The fact that it still gets spiritual successors and that the franchise occasionally gets revived speaks to how foundational this original was. And that's it, a little bit about Contra. I hope you enjoyed that. I love playing old school games, including Contra. So we're going to see a little bit more of this on the channel. I hope you like it. Let me know. I guess the views will speak as to whether or not we continue down this route. But I have a lot of old school games that I love playing. I play them primarily on my Miu Mini Plus, on my NES and Super Nintendo consoles, and the TV in the other room. I hope you enjoyed this retrospective on Contra. It's one of my favorite old school games. It brings back a lot of nostalgia and memories from when I was a kid, playing both in the arcades and on NES on my home console. If you like this type of content, let me know. Go ahead and throw a comment down in the comments below and let me know. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'd love it if you did, and stuck around to come back for more retrospectives on more retro games. And with that, we'll leave you, and I hope that you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.